What's happening, everybody? I'm back as me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, and I'm here with my review for the Five Bloods on Netflix. Now, if you have not seen this film yet, please come on back because there will be spoilers. This movie goes down for me, arguably, as one of my top Spike Lee joints in history. I've been a Spike Lee fan for years, since I was a child. And for those who know me, there's no secret I'm a fan of his. For those who know me, there's no secret that I personally am in a Spike Lee joint. And the Spike Lee joint that I'm in, it's not in my top 5. It's probably in my top 10, but, you know, it's because I'm in it, whatever. But the story in which this brings forth, the characters, the emotion, the ride this takes you on is so dope. Just in the first 5 minutes alone. Because this movie starts out talking about how black soldiers, who many have sacrificed their lives to this country, and this country don't give a fuck about them. Now, I'm not discrediting other veterans that we've seen on the street that are homeless. I'm not discrediting them by any means. But black soldiers in the Civil War, World War I, World War II, and in the Vietnam War were told they would have their freedom. They'd be treated like equals. And yet they're shitted on, spat on all day. To see live interviews, footage from interviews with Muhammad Ali, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Bobby Seals, Angela Davis, prominent, proud, loud, strong black voices. It resonates so heavily with what we are going through today in this country. And then when you go into the movie, you have a story of 4 Vietnam vets going back to Vietnam to get the bones, the remains of one of their fallen brothers, played by Chadwick Boseman, and bring him back to be buried on American soil. And you see throughout it that it ends up becoming more. It's about finding gold that they found, refinding gold that they found during the war, and bringing that back. And all of these twists and turns, and one of the biggest things it addresses is PTSD that a lot of veterans go through. A lot of men and women who have been in combat suffer from it daily. And for each, it is held with and dealt with in a different manner. And the manner in which we see Delroy Lindo's character deal with this, how people are against him who are probably not against him, how at every twist and turn, he doesn't trust anybody. And it speaks volumes. I loved Delroy Lindo's performance in this. I've watched Delroy Lindo again since I was a child. I remember seeing him in Enemy Mine and so many other movies I've watched growing up, and I've just loved this man's performance as a black actor. He's what I aspire to be. And to watch this and to watch the emotion and the parts where he has snapped out and lost touch with reality, and he's looking at the camera as if he's looking at somebody and you don't know who he's looking towards. And then when you see that he tells people back he goes in one scene where he tells them, I've been seeing ghosts and hearing them, and he snaps out, and his PTSD is so traumatic. But his performance is so powerful throughout it all, even until his final moments. To have Clark Peters, another powerful actor in there, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., Eddie Moore, the cast is just surreal. It is just so powerful. And the fact that it talks about and shows you raw footage of what America did in the Vietnam War that they do not want to talk about. How Americans were over there fighting for a war that was immoral. How they were killing women and children and innocent babies. And they actually put the footage to show you this shit ain't being made up. They put footage of children who've had their faces blown off. And yes, it is very graphic. It is very graphic. You saw even protests earlier in the streets of Vietnam where men were killed in the streets. And you find out later that the Vietnam War tore Vietnamese families against each other. And you have all this embedded in it, and it's drilled into you so you can understand the severity of this story, how real it is. Now, maybe there aren't, actual Vietnam vets going back to Vietnam to look for lost gold, but the story of what they've been through, the story of the camaraderie, the brotherhood, the bond, the story of the PTSD, the trying to grow older. Even Otis, as I told you, this is played by Clark Peters. This is a spoiler review. He finds out he has a grown daughter that he didn't know of. And it is so impactful when you hear that moment, because her mother, who is a Vietnamese woman, she even mentioned she was a whore. And they the white GIs were like the nigger and this, and they called her baby a cockroach because she was, had a black father. And all of this hits you because this is real life. This isn't something that's just typed up and written just to make a compelling story. This is real life. Many people who have interracial children have gone through that type of discrimination and gone through that type of prejudice. Today, as the day I'm recording this, is actually Happy Loving Day. It is the day that it was made legal for interracial marriages in America. So again, it's so profound and prolific what happens in this. You see men lose their lives by stepping on active landmines in Vietnam. And you see Spike Lee has taken this story to an entirely new level. Instead of, trying to just get actors or making people look the part, he went to Vietnam. He was there in the midst of it. And he found children who have been victim to losing body parts to landmines that are still active to this day in the fields of Vietnam, in the jungles from when the Vietnam War was happening. And you see this. There's one part where there is a Vietnam child. The four main cast members, five main cast members, excuse me. Delroy, four, it's actually four before Delroy Lindo's son, played by Jonathan Majors, comes along. There's Delroy Lindo, Clark Peters, Isaiah Richardson, and Eddie Moore. They're sitting down at a table at a bar in Vietnam, and they're having a drink. And a younger Vietnamese child comes, and he's missing one leg. He's on crutches, and he's begging for money. He's like, "GI, money, money." And Delroy Lindo is going through a PTSD moment, like, "Man, get him the fuck away from me. Get him the fuck away from me." And they're trying to calm him down because he is literally snapping out. And you see this, and then you see two older Vietnamese gentlemen buy them drinks, because they were on their side during the war. And again, like I brought up earlier, the war put a rift in between families. But that same little boy who was begging for money, again, how I talk about this, talks about PTSD and how traumatized a lot of military veterans are. And this goes even further. The kid thinks it's funny to throw a pack of fireworks down, and all four men dive on the ground covering their heads as if they're under fire right now at that moment. I have personally seen men who I know are veterans on the 4th of July try their damnedest to be outside and to enjoy everything, but they can't. They are literally shell-shocked, for lack of better words. They are literally traumatized by all the events that they have witnessed and seen. And now some try to go forward, but it harms them still. You have a part where after they find the gold, they're arguing what to do with it, and you have Eddie Moore's character of that was his name, Eddie. I'm sorry. His name was. Oh my God! Please forgive me. Please forgive me if I'm losing my track. But his character is talking about how they should take the gold and give it back to the organizations, give it back to the community, investing in the black community. And while he is arguing with Delroy Lindo's character and arguing with the rest of them, he is walking backwards. And as he walks backwards, he says, "Gold is the root of all evil," and then blows up. He steps on the landmine, explodes. Now, you would think that, okay, we're going to move forward from that part. We're not going to show any parts of him being, dismembered or disfigured by this landmine. No. Spike Lee says, "I'm putting this right in your face. You are going to see it." Okay. What was his name? I'm sorry. It was Norm Lewis. Excuse me. Played Eddie. My apologies. Norm Lewis plays Eddie. I'm sorry. I was confusing the character and the actor. You show Eddie after he steps on this landmine. Arms gone. Legs gone. Entire lower torso is gone. Body in complete shock. Him yelling and screaming. And it's such a traumatizing moment to watch, even as a moviegoer. But again, it's that realization that this shit really does still happen. This is not a game. Like there's a reason why they tell people do not play in the jungles of Vietnam, because there are still active landmines. That is terrifying. And then to see all these children, and there's an organization. Melanie Thierry's character of Hetty, she runs an organization that is meant to find landmines and bombs to prevent them from detonating and disfiguring and killing kids, because kids just go out and play and they're not looking around. And it's just so impactful. It makes you cry. It makes you really realize a lot of things. And one of the most important things I think stood out to me, besides the fact that Delroy Lindo's character was battling PTSD, was dealing with his traumas and his demons, he was a die-hard avid Trump supporter. There is a line he says in the beginning: "We need to stop these immigrants and build that wall." And I couldn't be mad at Spike for having that in the movie, because there are a lot of people who will think like that. You think they're in black people? Please see Candace Owens and the Hodge twins. Those are grade A coons if I've ever seen them. And don't get the biggest mama coons, Diamond and Silk. And for his belief that, that him and that hat, that fucking Make America Great Again baseball cap to just be worn, and his brothers, his military brothers, is just like, take this shit off. To watch when he finally succumbs to the rebels from the Vietnam arm, from the Vietnamese rebels, I guess they were, or criminals or crooks. I don't know exactly what I want to call them. I don't want to for sure call them Viet Cong members. But when he finally succumbs to them, him going out and they take the hat and throw it. To see them finally engage in the last battle in the last combat, where they have to fight after Delroy Lindo's character's son, is shot in the leg. They end up having to have a stronghold at a temple and battling these men in a gunfight. And David is telling Isaiah Whitlock's character Melvin, was like, yo, you sure y'all can handle it? And Melvin says, this ain't our first time in Nam. We know how to handle this. And, they were talking about how they're not going to die in Nam. And it's so crazy because there was this French white dude named Deshores who was supposed to help the vets get this gold that they were looking for, I told you about earlier, get it out of the country and be able to deposit it in offshore accounts. He was double-crossing them the whole time. And at one point, after they shot him and the gunfight ensues, he throws a grenade. And Isaiah Whitlock's character yells out grenade and jumps on it. And again, that's that military mindset. The men and women who are in the armed forces will do that in a heartbeat. And to see that moment, to know that he would do that, he would give his life for that again caught me. There's so many moments in this that you're just like, I'm speechless. I'm stunned. Or you just yell out, damn, or what the fuck. You just catches you. Overall, this movie is beautiful. This movie is brilliant. This movie is executed perfectly to insert everything that needed to be inserted, from interviews, photos, actual real life footage, to give you the full understanding of what this is. This isn't just a regular Spike Lee joint, a movie he made and just gonna do it. This has backing. This has a soul to it. Delroy Lindo, throughout this film, needs to be nominated for Best Actor when it comes to the Oscars. There's no doubt. I understand that the world shut down with movies, and to a certain point, and we'll pick back up again with stuff going to theaters. But I don't think there has not been a stronger best leading man performance this year than what Delroy Lindo gave you in this. I know we'll get the Oscar baits come August and all the way towards the end of the year, where everybody be like, blah, 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 blah. Well, this person and this person for the Oscar bait movies, which they're made for. But Delroy Lindo was superb. And honestly, I believe in my heart, and I've said this before because they fucked him on BlacKkKlansman. Give that man this Oscar. Give Spike Lee this Best Director Oscar. It's fuck trying to appease it and just say we gave him a screenplay. No. That man deserves best director for this one, because he showed something and he went to a level that most directors won't go. Now, granted, when it takes a level of creativity and imagination for any director, you have to give them the ones who've won, you give them credit. But I don't know anyone that is going to pull off the level of emotion, realism, heart, soul, and so many other adjectives that this pulled off. I highly recommend you watch this. I warn you, this will be very, very graphic. It's going to be something you've never seen before. There will be a lot of disturbing images that are not made for movie magic. They're real. But at the end of the day, I want to know what you thought about this movie below, all right? So go ahead and like, subscribe, click on the notification bell. Let me know what you think. Did you check out the 5 Bloods? Are you rocking with it? Did you want to see more? That's what I want to know, all right? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Check out my Supervillain Squad on Patreon, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. I got a bunch of exclusive content and a lot of in-depth questions regarding the comic book TV show and movie world that I don't ask on the Mad Titan podcast, which is my podcast where I get you caught up on all the things happening in the Marvel and DC live action and cinematic universes. It is barbershop talk for nerds, so come on in the convo with your boy. And every Tuesday live, 2 p.m. Pacific, myself, Winston A. Marshall, Blurs in the Hood goes down on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BLERDS, the letter N, THEHOOD, and Twitch TV, twitch.tv/Blurs in the Hood. Thank you guys for taking time out to enjoy this. Hope you guys are being safe and healthy and sane. And one big thing you see at the end of this movie that I want you to understand, and I'm going to say it from the heart, Black Lives Matter. I don't care how you feel about it. If you want to throw that all lives matter bullshit, you can go fuck off. Because we never said only Black Lives Matter. We know all lives matter. But right now, we're focused on Black lives. I'm out of here. Bye.